Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Matriarchal Sermon. Today, I'm not really doing a reading. I am discussing why we need to return to matriarchy and the matriarchal values. Um, so, according to experts, the patriarchy started anywhere between 7,000 to 10,000 years ago. Some people say at the start of the agricultural revolution, which was about 10,000 years ago. Some people say more around 7,000 years ago when people were starting to migrate more. And this one author I read even suggested, 3,000 to 5,000 years ago when people started using writing and the alphabet more. So there's a lot of different theories, but the common theme to all of that is the subjugation of women and land. And sometimes other men. So, men in power would use men of lesser power or men of other race to fill out their greedy needs and desires while they climbed the ladder of whether it was royalty, corporate empire, politics, whatever it was that they were interested in doing. But the known fact, the underlying foundation of all patriarchy is man as leader, and of course the development of religion under that, where God is man. So the reason why I am so heartfelt, so passionate about returning to matriarchy is for one simple reason. I am a big believer of the truth. When we start to veer from the truth, that's when things start to get bad. That's when corruption starts. That's when, whether it's at a global level or whether it's on a personal relationship level. I mean, anytime a lie starts, that's when all the coercive techniques of abuse start to happen. And our modern society has been built on a lie. So we need to return to the truth. And as a trauma survivor, I can say also that the truth is probably one of, if not my most foundational grounding point, my biggest pillar of healing. Because if you are somebody who has experienced trauma in any shape or form, it feels like your internal world and your external world is one of chaos. It's just like a constant whirlwind. It's like war upon war. Except it happens like inside of you and you can't run away from it, and you feel like you've been pulled apart and fragmented and torn to pieces and burnt like lava, and at the same time drowning in the deepest ocean. Like it's a really horrendous feeling, and you're searching and you're gnawing and you're crawling and you're craving for that one or many that grounding point, something that you can grab onto and be like, okay, like I'm not swirling anymore. I can steady myself. I can stabilize myself. And to me, the truth is it, because the truth is the truth. You can try and bend it. You can try and manipulate it. You can try and beat around the bush to it. But what is. It can't falter. And as somebody who has lived in the whirlwind, we need something that doesn't falter. And as a woman in a patriarchal society, all of us are swirling. We are swimming in the deepest of oceans looking for land. We are sinking in the deepest of volcanoes with all that fire wanting to consume us. And it's because we live in a lie. So I would like to talk today about why we need to return to matriarchy and how the matriarchal values will return us to a sense of wholeness and peace and justice. And I'm not saying that bad things don't happen under matriarchy. I'm just saying that it's not lie after lie, whirlwind after whirlwind, war after war, corruption after corruption. I mean, life is full of ups and downs, but you don't lose the grounding point. You don't lose the core, the essence of who you are, or at least I hope not. I mean, I can't speak for, the women living in matriarchal times of the Paleolithic and Neolithic eras, but I'm hoping, and from what I have read, there's challenge, and there's grief, and there's death and brutality, but there's not like this feeling of being lost, like being thrown out of the spaceship with no tether, just your suit, which is going to eventually run out of oxygen, and you're all by yourself, and you're just waiting. You're just waiting for the end. I don't think that happened, because they never lost their source. They never lost their true essence of who they are. So I think it will heal men too. That's not really a concern of mine at this moment. My concern is women, because we are the ones that have been conquered, divided, and conquered in billions of different ways. And we've lost our sense of who we are. And if you don't know who you are, how can you exist without whirlwind? I just don't think it's possible. So I guess I am going to do a little reading. This is from my website, Returning to Her, healingfromharm.com. Just going to wait for the truck to pass by. And this is a quote that I wrote. It's on my Return to Matriarchy page. The greatest cognitive dissonance humans developed is a denial that God is every female species on earth. We have learned to disobey our own eyes and ears about the power of creation and 50% of life's offspring, and the grand God herself that we rely on to live every time we breathe, Mother Nature. With this denial of reality, we have learned to deny women's innate power that lives on the level of Mother Earth. It's still there. We need to reclaim her. So that is the purpose of these sermons, is to speak to women about this, and on both a personal and a collective level, to reclaim that power, to reclaim the truth of what life is. And you could come back to me. You could say, well, how do you know it's the truth? Here's my opinion. Here's what the data speaks. Here's what the science speaks. Here's what the history books speak. Here's what the religious texts speak, blah, blah, blah. You can go on with all different sources. But I said it quite simply, your own eyes and ears. Name a single male, female, man and woman who hasn't been born on this earth from a woman. Name a single living creature on a Mother Earth that lives outside of Mother Earth. can't. Like it's basic common sense. We are here because of Mother Earth, of Mother Nature, the great cosmic mother. And we are here because of our own biological mothers that birthed us. So you can spout whatever text or philosophy or whatever you want. All I have to do is look outside and look down to my own vagina. So if we are life itself, if we are the gods of life itself, why are we not centered in society? Why have we lost this truth? Why are we not living on this level and with Mother Nature as our God? We cease to exist within minutes without her oxygen. So why is that not the foundation of our lives? And every time I see society strain from that, I see path into destruction and death, into trauma and illness. And every time I see people return to that, I see healing and I see hope. And I see peace. I see joy. And I'm not talking all the time because, life isn't all happy, happy, positive, positive, but that inner core, that grounded sense, of the earth beneath our feet, whether we're here or across the earth, in our beds, on top of a mountain, in the lake, at the hospital, the earth is there. Even when there's an earthquake, the earth is there. So we need to come back to that. And so that's why I think matriarchal values of living will help restore us to that. And so the first matriarchal value, I have this on my Return to Matriarchy page at www.healingfromharm.com. Nature first and always. She is our creator, and through her we live. Her wisdom guides our own. And unlike patriarchy, where it's like a pyramid and it's a hierarchical scheme of, God on top, male below, and then female below that, and then animals and Mother Earth below that. It's not like that in the matriarchal world. It's more like a circle. It's more like a sphere, like the globe that we live on, At the center, at the roots, is Mother Nature and Mother Universe. And then from that grows the forest, grows the mountains and the seas and the rivers and the people and the animals and the microbes and all the different elements. It's not a hierarchy, it's a circle. And the second value, females are creators of life and community, therefore holding primal societal positions. And I speak of females as in the human species and also the animal species, other animal species, because we are animals, and the plant species. We are all, and I know there's a few exceptions, but I'm talking less than 1% of everything. We are the creators of life and community. and you can see it everywhere. A seed does not grow in soil that doesn't nurture it. A cub does not grow without its mother helping it in the first few weeks of life. A human infant is dependent on their caretakers for the first 7 years of their life. Of course, they're up until they're adult, but the first 7 years of their life, there is literally no capacity for the human to develop their own self. They are mere sponges of what their caretakers are. As they pass the age of 7, they start to develop the neural network and the ability to self-regulate, self-identify, and they take what they have learned from their life in the formative years, and they start to develop and grow and form their own selves and their own ability to regulate themselves and work with themselves. If those first 7 years didn't provide that, you are now creating teens and adults who are now severely dysregulated, traumatized, and have a hard time managing their own existence. So, and who does most of the work in those first 7 years? I mean, yes, as we are progressing, men are playing a deeper part. But let's not kid ourselves. Who births it? Who nurses it? Who does the primary holding, receiving, caring in the first year or two of their life? There's this bond between mother and infant that goes down to the cellular level that is as intricate as our bond with Mother Nature in order to breathe, to live. I mean, that's how much the baby relies on the mother to survive. And when that bond is damaged or broken, it's the consequences are severe. So if Mother Nature is our core of our circle, females are the next rung. And everything builds upon those. Nothing in nature, third matriarchal value, nothing in nature exists in isolation. We must live in balance with nature and within ourselves. So again, there's no hierarchy. It's all about creating a system of one part of nature working with the other part of nature, and one species working with the other species, literally the circle of life. It can't get more simple than that. This is one of my biggest beefs, I have to say, with the scientific community and the religious community. The scientific community tries to study us in isolation from our environment. So they'll pick a diseased organ, or they'll pick a microscopic tissue that's pathology says it's developed, I don't know, like a tumor or something that is gone off the norm. And it tries to study it in isolation from the rest of the body and the environment that it lives in. That's like taking a human or a plant or a lion, taking them out of Earth, putting them outside in space, and trying to study them in space. While trying to help them stay alive and healthy. It doesn't work like that. And religion does the same thing. It has taken our soul, which is us, like our soul and us are one and the same. And it has lifted it out of us, called us vessels, and has now created all these rules and programs and belief systems of what makes a good soul in a human. Like it nothing lives in isolation. So if you ever come across, it could be, I don't know, anybody, no matter what anybody is practicing, if you're coming across somebody who is trying to dissect you and help you away from the environment and your own body that you live in, they've lost the plot. It doesn't work that way. All right. Where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth matriarchal value. Dark and light coexist. Birth and death, growth and decay, play and work, development and hibernation, prey and predator, survival and thriving. Keeps us in balance with the natural cycles of living. And this is something you'll see in patriarchal cultures a lot, is the constant need for growth, 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 progress, 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 money, 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 power, 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 never get sick, let's push death as far as we can, let's not grieve it. This whole linear, like they think life is linear. Mother Nature doesn't work like that. She has cycles. She has cycles of the moon that switch every week to every month to every year. She has cycles of the seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. She has cycles of rain and sun. She has cycles of growth, harvest, hibernation. So do we. We are cycles. How we achieve balance is to honor those cycles and not to follow the linear trap of patriarchal work, education, healthcare, politics, everything. I mean, anytime you see something in society that works as like a linear or a construct of 5 work days and 2 weekends, for example, I mean, that was developed to create a workforce that could produce the most amount of product for the owner of the factories to sell for profit within a moral space, like within a moral time of how much can we use humans' life to produce for us instead of what humans' life is meant to do. So 40 hours a week was determined the moral and just. Does Mother Nature work 40 hours a week? It just, when women are pregnant, are they only working 40 hours a week? And then when Mother Nature retires for the season, are they still working 40 hours a week? When mother's children are adult and grown, are they still... That was my dog trying to jump on a coffee table. Are they still working 40 hours a week? It doesn't make sense. So that's just one example of many. The other example would be, deny death at all costs. You see so many people walking dead. So they may not be finally dead, but they're walking in severe chronic illness. with no resources to help them, just to keep them alive, sort of functioning enough so that they can work. But there's no living going on. And there's also no option to cease suffering when it is time to do so. Yeah, it's interesting. Where am I? Oh yes. Also, there's this great patriarchal need of, like, there's bad emotions and good emotions, and the mentally ill are to be hidden and shied away and given drugs to suppress. The chronically ill are given medication to suppress their symptoms, so that we can all go and fulfill our role playing, put our masks on and serve society. Matriarchal values honor the ill as well as the well, because within the ill, those symptoms have messages. There's reason to why they have strayed from harmonious living. And our current world likes to our current world likes to forget it exists. But then it doesn't really stay forgotten, does it? It stays under the surface, like a dormant volcano, just itching and spiraling and circling and waiting for the right time to erupt. And boom, a war starts. Boom, a dictator comes into power. Boom, a man has a bad day at work, goes home and beats his wife. It's never really goes away until you face it. Matriarchy teaches you how to face it. Next value, communion with others through interdependence instead of hierarchical power. So I think I've probably covered that well enough. Next one, all things built from the root up, whether it's plants, the womb of life, familiar to social connections, tribe to traveling, or food to table. Healing occurs this way too. Fragmentation from the root in body, mind, spirit, medicine, work, education, and governing destroys the root. It becomes a systemic pathology instead of health and vitality. So again, we're going back to the circle. We're going back to getting to the root, getting to the core, getting to the truth of it all. When you uncover the truth of what is causing the disease, you can actually finally heal the disease instead of just manage the symptoms. And that applies on a physical health level, to a psychological level, to economic level, to whatever the systemic pathology is in a community, in a society, once you discover the cause. The patriarchy doesn't care about the cause. Remember, they have strayed from the truth. They don't care about the truth. They care about forward production, and that's it, to suit their own needs. Matriarchy cares about the truth. It cares about the cause, so that we can restore balance and harmony to everything in life, so that we don't work ourselves to death, but instead work to live. or be to live, or create to live, or whatever it is that, all three, in different points of our life. And the last one, anything that takes us away from the above leads to illness and trauma. Anything that brings us closer leads to health and prosperity. And I've mentioned that earlier in the video as well. So I think the first thing that returning to matriarchy does is returns us to the truth. And with the truth, we can finally build. And we can build with the proper foundations. We can build with the proper structures. We can build with the proper use of resources without overwhelming it. We can build around that one thing that won't falter, or the one many things in a community that won't falter, and it becomes sustainable. You'll hear a lot of patriarchal talk in the world about sustainability, ecological reservation. But you have to look at the motive behind it. You have to look at the philosophy behind it. Are they returning to real sustainability based on the truth of Mother Nature? Or is it just language used to cover up a shame for a different kind of production? And unfortunately, a lot of the world falls into the latter instead of the former. But the former exists. It exists in 50% of the world's species. All females have this within them. Can you imagine the power if we all decided to embrace it and turn the world back? So let's return to matriarchy. Let's bring back the truth and the roots of our world, and a place where we can ground instead of being whirlwind. Can you imagine a world like that? Like, wow. Wouldn't that be something? Until next time, my friends.